lang ulit, okay? Question 10, the Deviant sexual theories. So, when say theories, we are talking about the causes why do people commit sexual or bakit meron sila mga sexual deviancy. Kailan ba nagsistart yan? So, okay. Topics, the sex in history, okay, and the deviant sexual history. Again, this topic is rated as PG. Okay, stick ng gabay ng ang kailangan ng mga bata, okay? But, I know, you are now an adult, so nakakapag-adjust naman kayo. Kung ano man ang pag-aaral natin today, it is always a purposely educational matter. Okay po? So, sex in history. So, before, okay, we have different family types and their influence on how we view sex. Okay, we have Hebrew or the Jewish, Greek family, Roman family, and the last one, we have the Christian family. Okay po. So, let's start with the first one, Hebrew family. Okay? AKA Jewish family. Okay? Due to the harsh environments they were exposed to, and they form a strong sense of community. So, according to the Jews, the father was the supreme commander. Okay po? So, according to the Jews, sa mga family ng mga Jews or mga Hudyo, ayan, according to them, the father was the supreme commander. His word held against everything. It was the law, sabi niya. Blood lines traced via father. So, males were generally granted higher status male children and were ones that could provide for family as well in the battle. So, doon sa mga Hebrew family, noon, ang nagiging, tawag natin, ang nagiging, what do you call this, parang batas sa loob ng bahay is itong father or parang paternal sila, diba? So, divorce was not granted to women in the early Jewish culture. So, only the male could get divorced. So, mas malaki ang karapatan ng lalaki noon. So, ang lalaki lang ang may karapatan makipag-divorce sa babae. And then, only, diba, divorce was not granted to the women in early Jewish culture. Only male could get a divorce, and male also allowed to have multiple wives. Tapos, yung mga lalaki din nun, parang sa mga Muslim, okay, pwede siyang makakuha ng madaming asawa. Okay, ang masyadong malaki ang privilege ng mga Hebrew family sa mga lalaki, no? Sex for the purpose of recreation and pleasure for male. Kapag male, okay, ang sex para sa recreation and pleasure nila. Pero, yung mga babae, women, they do not enjoy sex. Their pleasure, makukuha pa lang ang pleasure nila if they give birth to a child. It came from the raising their kids and taking care of the house. Doon nakukuha ng babae, ng mga kabaihan, yung kanilang pleasure, not in the sex. So that is a Hebrew family. Next, we have also the Greek family. Purpose of sex was procreation, just like with the Hebrews. So, pareho lang sila ng purpose dun sa sex. So, one unique factor of how sex was viewed in Greek society comes from the public communal encouragement of homosexuality. For many people in the Greek society, pag sinabi natin homosexuality, it means same sex, diba? So, for many people in the Greek society, the highest form of love was one between the two males, one adult, and another who didn't reach puberty yet, homosexuality. And pedophilia was part of their common culture. So, sa Greek family, normal lang ang may bakla. Normal lang ang homosexual. Normal lang ang pedophilia. Okay? Status of the female was low among Greek society. Okay? So, dito, sa mga Greek society, mababa kasi ang tingin talaga noon sa mga kababaihan. Okay po? So, ano man yan, dito sa Hebrew, even in Greek family, mababa ang tingin sa mga kababaihan. So, status of the female was low among Greek society. Married woman had only two roles. Dalawa lang ang roles ng babae. Wife and mother. So, di ba nga, ang pleasure nila, nakukuha pa lang nila if they will took care of their while raising their kids, or they will took care of their house. Ganyan. Education is restricted to women. Yan. Greek male could get a divorce, but this was very hard for a woman. Halos parehas lang sila ng ating Hebrew. Greek family was male-dominated. Sons carried on family's name. Kaya gustong-gusto nila, di ba, na lalaki ang anak nila. So, sex was not only procreation but recreational purposes. Homosexuality, lesbianism, etc. were all typical in Greek family. Next, after the Greek family, we also have the Roman family. The first family that allowed equality for both males and females. Okay? This led to the idea of bi-humanity. That was good for one sex was also good for the other. Dito, nagkakaroon na ng pantay na treatment between male and female. So, males were still desired as children, but daughters also desired. So, syempre, kung hinahanap natin nila yung, di ba, gusto nila yung mga anak nila na lalaki. Still, kapag sa Roman family, gusto na rin nila ng babaeng anak. So, father still controlled family, but mother was now treated as an equal. So, still pa rin, ang nangunguna sa family, yung father. Pero, ang mother, hindi na lang yung role niya is to be a wife and to take care of the house, okay? Sex was for recreation as well as viewed as normal part of the personality and to be enjoyed. So, nothing wrong with sex, homosexual or hetero. So, ang Roman family, ito yung parang free. They are free. Why? Allowed ang homosexual, allowed ang hetero, okay? And then, tawag dito, nagkakaroon pa ng equality between male and females. Okay po? Hindi katulad ni Hebrew and Greek, diba? Hindi pantay. Laging merong male domination. Next and the last one, we have the Christian family. Kung ano naman yung sinusundan natin today, diba? They had a strong moral code and controlled people using crude but effective methods. So, meron tayong strictness dito and strong moral code. Strict principles in sex and sexuality. So, they believe it was better to be single than married. Diba? Sa mga Kristiyano, kailangan kasal muna bago tsok-tsakan, diba? So, but better to be married than engage in sex freely. Sabi niya, diba? Better to be married first. So, instead of monogamy, sex just for procreation, not pleasure. Okay? Status of women fell drastically during this time. Women considered the source of evil. Okay. Dito, ang talagang nagiging parang source of evil is yung parang tukso. Yan, kay Eva. Yan. So, Christians wanted daughters because they had a higher chance of remaining virgins. Women made purpose of a man, therefore should have position lower than man. So, this is the Christian family. They have strong family values because, diba, kapag labing Kristiyano ka, nasa church ka, ganyan. So, you have rules. So, ganun ang nangyayari. Nagkakaroon ng, hindi nila ginagawa yung sex just only for pleasure, but for the purpose of procreation. Pag sinabi nating procreation, it means, para lang, gagawin mo lang yun para magkaanak ka. Ganon. Okay, again, these are the 4 families and the history. Okay, now, these are the different theories na on the sexual deviance. Theories means, these are the causes, diba? Main root causes. Alamin natin ngayon, why do some people have sexual deviance, diba? Alam naman natin, having sexual deviance is not normal. So, tingnan natin, do you have different theories that will tell us paano hindi nagiging normal itong, or paano nagkakaroon ng sexual deviance ang isang tao? So, if you have something you think na meron kayo sexual deviance right now, maybe this theories would answer. Okay, bakit kayo ganyan? So, let's start. Okay, let's start with psychodynamic theories. When we say psychodynamic theories, this will remember you the Freudian theory, diba? Si id, ego, and superego. Okay, psychodynamic theories. Individual sexual desires are perversion. Ano ba ibig sabihin ng perversions? What does it mean when say perversion? Yung mga pervert, yan, bastos, or yung mga kakaibang kinikilos within their opposite sex or same sex. According to this, diba, we have 4 stages of development. This is oral, anal, phallic, and genital. Unresolved problems in any could cause fixations that could cause issue. Interactions of id, ego, and superego. Deviant behavior is unlikely to go away, okay? Psychopathology is rooted in the person's personality, and any treatment must be lengthy and focused on restructuring the character. Family dysfunction model. So, characterized by ill, absent, or sexually frigid mother who provides no satisfaction to father. father must turn to the children for intimacy and love. Ayan. So, ang nagkakaroon talaga ng causes dito sa id, ego, and super ego. If you will going to apply this in sexual deviance, ano ang umiira sa kanila? Id, ego, o super ego? Anyone? Ano ang magpapaira sa mga to? Id, ego, o super ego? Everyone? No? Do I have someone to talk here? Oh. Yes. Id, ego, o super ego? Kung meron siyang sexual deviance, ano ang tawag dito? Sino ang may kasalanan or parang ano ang nananaig sa kanya?
Oh.
Sino?
Id po.
Si id. Okay. Kasi si id, diba, si sexual drives, we have the innate desires, pleasure, seeking, aggression, or the sexual impulse. Okay, so ibig sabihin, they explain that ito yung parang hinahanap-hanap kasi niya. Katulad nga ng ito, sa family dysfunction model, sabi niya, characterized by ill or absent or sexuality, frigid mother. Diba, according to Abraham Maslow, sex is parang part of human needs. So, kapag dineprive mo yan sa isang asawa mong lalaki, diba? A sexually frigid mother who provides no satisfaction to father. Father must turn to the children for intimacy and love. So, he will find for that satisfaction. Hahanap-hanapin niya yung satisfaction na hindi niya nakukuha sa asawa niya. So, what will happen? Kung sino man ang kasama niya within the families, maybe his daughters or his sons, gagawan niya ng ganun. So, maybe incest ang lalabas nun, di ba? Incest. Kung hindi man niya po gagawin yan sa kanyang sariling anak, maybe with the other people. Okay? So, that's how it goes or paano ini-explain ng psychodynamic theory ang sexual deviance. It is because hindi niya makuha yung satisfaction niya. And then, alam naman natin na meron tayong id, which it is a greater impulse or ito yung greater parang content ng ating sarili that what we want. What we want to happen. Next, we also have biological theories. Diba? Aggressive sexual behavior is caused by androgens and androgen-releasing hormones in males. Testosterone is particularly important. When we say naman biological theories, we're talking about the life. Diba? Ibig sabihin sa biological theories, ang may problema dito is yung natural body parts of a male or female. So, males are driven to rape in order to reproduce. So, this theory contradicts most sociological research and promotes rape myths. Itong biological theories, this is yung parang unevitable. Pag sinabi natin unevitable, when say unevitable, it means hindi niya mapigilan. Bakit? Kasi meron siyang sakit. Okay? Dito, nagkakaroon siya ng sexual deviance kasi siya mismo meron siyang sakit. Okay po. Kasi hindi nagpo-produce ng, sabi niya, yung androgen-releasing hormones. Okay, so, testosterone is particularly important. So, ibig sabihin dito sa biological, kasi pag sinabi natin biological theories, we're talking about life, diba? We're talking about the problems within the human person. For example, if you could remember, example of biological theories, we have phrenology, physiognomy, diba? It means we are talking about na ang crime nag-commit or na-trace natin ng crime through their physical characteristics. Ganon din sa biological theories. Nagkakaroon sila ng sexual deviance because there is a faulty in their part, on their personal matter. Okay? In their own physical, we're talking about physical, okay, or the physiology. So, in this case, there is a problem within the testosterone or the androgen releasing hormones with the male factors. So, males are driven to rape in order to reproduce. So, dahil hindi nila na-reproduce yun or hindi nila nalalabas yun, di ba? Yung mga male ay, tawag dito, ayan, ma'am, ganyan na po yung issue ni Tekla, sabi ni, no? Ma'am, ganyan na po yung issue ni Tekla sa asawa niya, pinatulpo niya po kahapon. So, pinatunayan ba na may sakit siya? If ang pinapatunayan ni Tekla kasi na may sakit siya dun sa kanyang testosterone kasi kailangan niyang gawin yon para mag-reproduce, okay? So, therefore, biological theories yon. Pero kapag kanwari, Depende kasi, pwedeng biological. Kapag pinatunayan may sakit siya, okay, and his physical characteristics within his testosterone, therefore, pwedeng biological theories kay Tekla. Pero kung kanwari, psychological, iba yun. Okay po? Psychological, iba yun. Next, okay? Mananalo si Tekla, okay? Mananalo si Tekla dun sa laban na yung pinatulfo niya or kung dumating man yun sa mga polis. If, okay, ilalaban niya na merong, papakita niya na may ebidensya siya na there is a biological theories or kailangan niyang gawin yun. Ganun ba yung nangyari? Kailangan niya bang gawin?
Hindi pa siya naglabas ng ano, hindi pa po siya nagsasalita.
Hindi pa siya nagsasalita, okay. Kapag ang nilaban ni Tekla is, meron siyang sakit, as it was proven by a doctor na merong problema sa testosterone niya na kailangan niyang gawin yon, okay? Therefore, biological theories. Pero kung kanwari, parang something in his mental or parang wala naman siyang sakit na physically but just mental, iba yun. It means meron ng pagka sakit sa utak, behavior, or later on, we will discover. Okay? Again, ito, biological theories, ginagawa nila yan, nagkakaroon sila ng, or hindi nila mapigilan mag-masturbate, hindi nila mapigilan mag-rape, it is because may problema sa testosterone nila. Hindi sila nag-reproduce. Okay? Ibig sabihin, physically impaired. Intindihan po? That is biological theories. Let's go naman with the feminist theories. Ito. In the feminist theories, they focus on motivations of men. Sorry with the men, okay? Dito, sa theories on sexual deviance, always male kasi ang lumalabas na parang causes ng mga nag-rape. Sabi nga natin, madaling patunayan kapag ang tanong, is rape can be, kanino pwedeng isampa ang kaso ang rape? Kanino? Women?
Lalaki lang po. Lalaki lang po.
Lalaki lang. Okay, according
Hindi.
to RA...
Alam ko pwedeng mag-rape yung babae.
Yes, according to RA...
Konti lang yung...
Makinig. I-correct natin ang mind nyo, ha? Okay? According to the Vice Penal Code, dati, only male can be subjected for rape. Or parang sila yung pwedeng isampahan ng kaso for rape. But, since pinalawak nila ang batas sa rape, they come up with the RA 8353, wherein, okay, both male and female can now be subjected for the crime of rape. Pwede na pong kasuhan ng kaso ang babae about rape. Okay? Pero, okay, there is a consequence. We all know that, sabi nga natin, ang babae kapag na-rape, kasi ganito ang definition ng rape. Paano ba ang definition ng rape nyo? Sige, anong isip nyo? Okay? Paano ang isip nyo kapag rape? Basta kapag napasok yung that is considered rape, no? No. Sa atin, okay, it is force, syempre. Sometimes, meron pong consensus rape or parang consented. Meron pong gano'n. Alam mo yun, sa mga minor, pwede po siyang magsampa ng kaso kahit hindi mo siya pinilit. Kaya kayong mga boys na merong mga girlfriend na minor, tapos nakipag-lovemate kayo dyan, kung matalino ang magulang niyan, tutol siya dun sa nangyari sa inyo, pwede niya sabihin niya, you are just seducing her child. Okay? So, ang rape nangyayari, hindi lang po sa pagpasok. Okay? Mere touching, it is considered also a rape. Okay? Hindi mo man pinasok yung genital part mo dun sa babae. But you use just genital. Okay? Tawag daw, mere touching. Pag sinabing mere touching, basta hinawakan mo, hindi man pumasok or so what, it is already considered rape. Pwede rin yung, for example, gagamit ka ng other things. Hindi mo nga hinawakan, but you use other things. For example, sa bibig niya, pinasok mo yung parang remote. Ganyan. Remote. Okay? Tapos nagkakaroon parang ng sexual pleasure, ganon. Therefore, it is also considered as a rape. Pinasok mo sa bibig niya, pinasok mo sa mismong ari niya, it is considered a rape. So, don't you worry, meron naman kayong subject that will, in your law, or pwede rin sa CRIM211, that will explain about rape. So, ako, ko lang kasi, in my point, dati kasi talaga, kaya itong mga theories, puro male kasi nun ang usong-uso na gumagawa ng rape, diba? Parang madalang yung babae. But because of RA 8353, naliwanagan ng lahat, women can also commit a crime of rape. Okay? Pero, ang consequence is mahirap patunayan. Bakit? Paano mo consider na ma-rape ang isang lalaki, diba? Kung sabi nga nila, hindi yan tatayo kung di niya gusto. Sabi nila, no? Sabi nila, okay. So, sabi nga natin, kapag female, madali lang patunayan kung na-rape siya. Pero kapag lalaki, medyo mahirap patunayan yan. Okay? Kasi sabihin natin, kailangan, hindi niya gusto force So, paano magkakaroon nga ng sexual ganyan if hindi niya gusto or so whatever. So, pwede nang kasuhan ngayon ang babae ng rape. Okay po? Pero mahirap patunayan. Yun lang. Okay? Pero alam ko meron nang nagsampa ng kaso ng rape sa isang babae. Firstly, abuse, ganyan. Parang sugar mommy niya yata yun. Okay? So, feminist theory. So, focus on the motivation of men. Okay? That leads to them committing acts of sexual violence against women. Okay? Sexual assault is systematic to a patriarchal society of a conditioned male supremacy. Sexual gratification is not a major cause of rape. Okay? Rape is a tool to dominate and control women. It is the cause of deep-rooted social traditions of male dominance and female exploitation. Rape is a cultural rather than an individual problem. So, dito sa feminist theories, okay, nakikita nila na kaya nang-rape or parang nagkakaroon ng sexual abuse within the female kasi yung mga lalaki, they want to feel male domination. Diba? Nagkakaroon na mas malakas ako sa'yo. Yan. So, sabi ng mga lalaki na mas malakas kami sa mga babae, mas magaling kami sa mga babae. Yun ang iniisip ng feminist theories na kaya nag-rape or parang nagkakaroon ng sexual deviancy between them from the males kasi they are implying male domination. Pag sinabi natin male domination, patriarchal. Pag sinabing patriarchal means ang namumuno sa society is a man. Ang nag-lead sa isang bagay is a man. So, pati sa sexual ganito, ang nag-lead lang is a man. Okay? So, nag-rape sila ng babae just to show or just to imply that there is a male dominance na mas malakas ang lalaki. If hindi ako nagkakamali, pinaglalaban nila yan dun sa hindi ko alam kung hindi ko alam anong title na napanood ko, pero movie yun, 300 yata. 300 ba yun? Tapos, habang nag-aware sila or nag-aaway sila, nag-sex sila. Yung babae, babae at saka yung lalaki. Tapos, just to prove yung male dominance niya. So, ayaw ng babae na, hindi na kami ring mga kababaihan, merong part, sabi niya, or parang, kaming mga kababaihan, merong kaming say. Hindi kayong mga lalaki ang mamumuno dito, sabi niya, ganyan. Kasi yung babae, she was a victim of sexual abuse. Bata pa lang siya. So, sa movie na yon parang nung nakita niya yung pinaka-leader ng mga male domination, pinaglaban niya yun sa mga babae. Ayan. So, again, sa feminist theories, kaya nagkakaroon doon ng sexual assault, rape, or so whatever, it is because the male or the men are just want to imply na merong male domination or parang sila daw yung namumuno. Gusto nila, they want to feel the power. Okay? So, feeling nila kung magkakaroon kung sila yung sabi nga niya, sexual gratification is not a major cause of rape. Hindi naman ibig sabihin ang rape nila hindi dahil para makuha yung pleasure or so whatever. Rape is tool to dominate and control the women. Yun ang gusto nila. Male domination. Parang sila yung nangunguna or so whatever. Okay, gagamitin nila yung rape, gagamitin nila yung sexual assault just for the what we call male domination. Para lang mapatunayan na sila yung mas malakas, sila yung mas may power within the society. Okay? That is feminist theories. Next, we also have the attachment theories. Okay. Paano naman itong mga attachment theories? Ito yung mga bigo. Yung mga bigo dyan, broken-hearted. Okay? So, many sexual offenders exhibit a lack of close adult relationship and lack of intimacy. Okay? So, yung mga sexual offenders, okay? Madalas sa kanila is, ayan, wala silang ka-love mate or wala silang ka-intimate. So, individuals with poor emotional attachments are more likely to commit a sexual offense. So, sino ba dito yung mga loner? Or yung mga NBSB, NGSB, ayan. Sabi nila dito, yung mga, lahat ng mga, almost of the sexual offenders, dahil ang pinaka-cause bakit nagko-commit sila ng sexual crimes, it is because they are lacking of close relationship or lack of intimacy. So, failure to form intimate relationships creates frustration that drives them toward underage partners. Okay. They may try to overcome feelings of loneliness through sexual activity, but their lack of empathy runs in the risk of inappropriate and unwanted advances and sexual offending. Okay. So, kadalasan ang in-explain na attachment theories nito, yung mga, kanwari, ligaw siya ng ligaw, pero hindi siya sinasagot. Ayan. So, yung mga ganong mga tipo ng mga tao na hindi nakakaranas ng intimacy, hindi nakakaranas ng close relationship, are most likely to prone to commit sexual crimes. Yung mga tigang, sabi nga nila. Kasi walang gustong makipag-relationship sa kanila, walang gustong magkaroon ng tawag dito, walang gustong makipag-partner sa kanila. Therefore, magkakaroon yun ng frustration. So, yung frustration na yun yung mag-lead kung bakit sila magko-commit ng sexual crimes. Anong gagawin nila kadalasan? Sabi nila, they may try to overcome feelings of loneliness through sexual activity. So, yung loneliness na yun, para mawala yun, mangre-rape sila or kahit sino na lang, ganyan, kahit bata pa sa kanila. But there are lack of empathy and risk of inappropriate and unwanted advances and sexual offending. Yan, yung mga tigang na tigang. So, that is attachment theories. Ito yung mga hindi sila makahanap ng partner nila. So, they are most likely to prone to commit in sexual offense. Next, ito. Behavioral and cognitive theories. So, what is behavioral and cognitive theories? Mainly relate to the assessment and treatment of sexually deviant behavior based on the assumption that there is no singly underlying problem of which deviant behavior is a symptom. So, sexual offender have disturbed developmental history. Baka pwede dito pumasok yung kay Tekla. Tingin ko behavioral or cognitive theories. Okay? So, there is a presence of these inhibitors that allow a deviant behavior to occur. The offender has deviant sexual fantasies. Ito talaga, meron ng problema sa utak. Yan. So, neutralization. Individuals legitimate their behavior and behaviors of others through cognitive distortion. There is a distortion kasi, there is a disturbed developmental history or even development of sexual fantasies. So, these allow offenders to continue committing deviant acts while averting blame from themselves and projecting it on the victims of or environment. Offenders view children as sexual objects that are motivated by a desire or pleasure. Tingin nyo, meron talagang problema sa kanila, may problema sa utak nila. Offenders entitled to the sexual behavior and the victim desires are ignored or given only secondary importance. The world is dangerous and the offender believes that the adults will reject him or abuse him. So the offender views his environment or uncontrollable and people are not able to take responsibility of their behaviors. So the offender believes no harm is done to the victim as sexual activity is beneficial. So sa mga behavioral cognitive theories, tignan nyo sinabi niya dito. Offenders view children as sexual objects. So parang sa kanya, normal lang na makipag-ano sa kanya yung mga bata. Or parang, sa tingin niya, it is parang, para ma-achieve yun, pareho naman daw silang magpe-pleasure doon. So, ganun yung mga behavior o cognitive theories. Tingin ko dito siguro si Tekla. Okay? Hindi ko naman sa dinajudge ko si Tekla. Okay? Hindi ko pa alam yung nangyari talaga. Hindi pa narinig yung side niya. Pero, I think, ito yung si Tekla. If if you will see, Tekla kasi, kung nagpapatawa siya, yung jokes niya, di ba? Yung humor niya, medyo ganon. So, therefore, tingin ko, nasa ano naman siya, meron na siyang problema within his behavior or cognitive theories. Nasa behavior na niya yan. Ganon na talaga siya. Is either bata pa lang siya, okay, expose na siya sa ganong behavior, or parang cool lang yung developmental niya about sex. Ganyan. Sabi niya, meron siya mga sexual fantasies. Pasok din po ba dito yung kay Christian Grey? Yes, pwede pong pasok dito yung kay Christian Grey, yung doon sa mismong, kasi yun? Ano kasi yung movie niya, 50 Shades of Grey. Ganon. Pwede yun. Okay po. So, di ba, nung bata pa lang siya, na-expose kasi siya dun sa trauma ng, ewan ko if trauma, hindi niya matutuong mother yun, di ba? So, dahil dun, naranasan niya yun. So, therefore, it will lead to his sexual behavior. Okay? Dito, sabi nga niya, the victim desires are ignored or the given only secondary importance. Dito, yung mga tao sa kanila is parang things lang. They do not consider them as parang love or partner, but they will consider their partner in a love mate just a thing for sexual pleasure. Ganun lang yun. So, this is the behavioral or cognitive theories. Next, psychosocial theories. So, deviant sexual behavior is a response to external factors and sociological and cultural factors influencing it. So, it is the outcome of inappropriate socialization. It may be caused by poor social skills, childhood sexual abuse, or be influenced by general factors. Cycle of abuse. Despite the theories of promotions of childhood victimization as a cause, it is only one of many factors that can precipitate later offending. So, the problems. More female than male children are abused. So, yet, there are more male than female sexual offenders. Many offenders were not as sexually abused as children. So, majority of the children who were sexually abused do not go on to abuse the others. So, pasok din dito yung bata din kayo, katulad ng sinasabi ko kanina, yung kung bata pa rin kayo, nakaranas kayo ng trauma, nakaranas kayo ng abuse. Ayan, nagiging, tawag dito, nagiging parang aware or parang yun ang nagiging dahilan kung bakit ka nagiging sexual deviant. Ganyan. Also, pwede rin, sabi nga niya dito, bakit kung ganon, sabi niya, alam naman natin, di ba, nung bata, yung sa mga bata, mas malaki ang tsansa na magkaroon na parang sexual abuse within the female. Pero ang lumalabas sa research, mas madami pa rin ang male dominance or parang mas marami pa rin ang mga male sexual offenders. Bakit kaya? It is because of the exposure. Kasi exposed sila sa mga ganong bagay. Diba? So, expose sila sa mga ganong bagay, alam nila mga yan. Kaya sabi nga, boys would always be boys, sabi nga nila. Kaya, that may be cause of poor social skills, childhood sexual abuse, or be influenced by the general factors like porn. Kasi nga, expose yan sila pagkabata nila. Mga boys nga, hello, are you with us? Hello, nagkausap pa ba ako?
Yes po. Yes, ma'am.
Tanong ko sa inyo, be honest. Kailan nyo na-discover ang porn? What age?
Nung 10 years old ako, ma'am.
10 years old.
Elementary, ma'am.
Elementary pa lang.
Ako,
na.
Grabe siya.
How about the women?
Ano po yun? Ma'am? Ano po yun?
Kailan nyo na-discover ang porn? Ganyan.
Opo, ma'am. Ano po yun, ma'am?
Diba, Siko? Ikaw nga ang nangunguna doon, Siko? Okay? Baka nga grade 2 ka pa lang, alam mo na yan. Okay? So, yun. Ganito. Kasi, sinasabi kasi ng psychosocial theories, this can be caused by a trauma. Kasi nagkaroon ng sexual abuse within the, nung bata pa sila. Pero, study shows, okay, diba? Alam naman natin, noong una, female or the girls are most prone to be sexually abused noon, 'di ba? Mas marami ang nare-report na yung mga babae ang nagkakaroon ng sexual abuse or nakakaranas ng sexual abuse. But it happens all the time na mas malaki naman ang percentage ng mga lalaki as sexual offenders. So what happened? It is because of their poor social skills and also they're influenced by the general factors like porn. Ibig sabihin, they are surrounded Ibig sabihin, bata pa lang sila, alam na nila yon. So, therefore, kahit hindi pa kumpleto yung kanilang genital ganto-ganyan, diba, ine-explore na nila yon. Kaya nagkakaroon sila. Kaya mas marami yung mga sexual offenders ng lalaki. O, yung mga babae, hindi ko na masabing nowadays pero nung time namin, siguro nalaman pa lang namin ng porn or sex at the age of meron ng sex education. Kailan ba natin nare-receive ang sex education? Nang pa lang, 'di ba? Pag grade 5, grade 6, ganyan. Pero hindi pa namin alam ang porn or so whatever noon. Nalaman ko pa lang ang porn, high school na yata. Okay? So, hindi ko rin nun alam ang word na sex. Okay? Ang alam ko, natatawa ako noon kapag nakakabasa daw ako ng dyaryo, nilalagyan ko ng mami. Okay? Kulang ng Y yung dyaryo, mali ang spelling. Kunwari, di ba may mga headlines na ganyan sa dyaryo? Tawag dito? Meron ka makita na sex, the word na sex. Nagtuturo ng journalism ang nanay ko noon. Sabihin ko noon, mali yung dyaryo na to. Kasi kulang ng Y itong word na to. Kasi ang alam ko lang na word sexy, pero hindi ko alam ang word na sex. So, na-realize ko na lang yan noong, yun nga, grade 5 or grade 6, or so wala. So, meron palang nag-exist na word na sex, pero hindi ko alam. Ang alam ko lang is sexy. So, ibig sabihin, late kasi talaga yung development ng mga girls. Noon ang alam ko, hindi ko na lang alam ngayon. Kasi iba na ang Generation Z na sinasabi nila. Kasi always pantay na yan. At lalo na through the use of internet, baka grade 1 pa lang, alam na nila yung mga yan. Okay? This is the psychosocial theories. Next, routine activities theories. Ito yung pinaka-last na theory. Okay, I feel you, Ma'am Sandro Asico. Pwede ba? Okay? So, routine activities theory, in order for a predatory crime to occur, 3 elements must be present. Okay? A motivated offender, a suitable target, and the lack of capable guardians who can prevent the crime from happening. So, ibig sabihin, merong motivated offender, yung gustong gumawa ng mismong crime, siyempre. A suitable target, yung target niya, kapag nandiyan yung target niya, merong offender. And, siyempre, magagawa lang niya yan if there is opportunity. Opportunity when it comes, there is a lack or incapable of guardians who can prevent the crime from happening. Based on the assumptions that offenders weigh the costs and benefits of criminal behavior. Effectively implemented situational crime prevention strategies can reduce criminal activity. So, routine activities theory. Alam niyo yung, for example, bakit ma'am paulit-ulit merong nare-rape doon sa lugar na yon? Bakit ma'am paulit-ulit binibiktima niya yung mga ganito or so whatever. So, merong routine activities theories. Ibig sabihin, minamanmanan niya yung taong yon, di ba? Hinahanap niya yung mga babaeng dumadaan doon every night. Pag sinabi natin routine activities theory, paulit-ulit lang. Okay? Tapos, chinichampuan lang niya yung mga victim niya kapag walang, tawag dito, guardian, or parang walang bantay, kung matichempuan niya siya lang mag-isa. So, child sex abusers have, yan. Sino yung mga sex abuser to? Late onset of deviant behavior. A low incidence of chronic sexual offending. A high incidence of previous sexual offenses. A low incidence of stranger abuse. A low incidence of networking among offenders. A low incidence of child porn use. And low incidence of paraphilic behavior. Yun yung mga child sex abusers. Okay po, yung mga nag-abuse ng yung mga tumitiran ng mas bata sa kanila, yung sa tingin nila, magagawa nila ang lahat kapag bata ang bibiktamihin nila. So, yan yun. Again, routine activities theory, it means
Ma'am, ganyan.
Yes. Rest, Lucy.
Ma'am, ganyan po ba yung kay Ted Bundy? Routine activities theory po?
Yes.
Nagpo-fall po siya dyan?
Yes. Di ba yung kay, Ted Bundy, talagang tinatarget niya yung mga babae. Babae lahat, di ba?
Opo,
Tapos serial rapist, tama. Kasi hanapin niya lahat eh. Ito yung motivated offender, si Ted Bundy. Okay? And then, yung suitable target niya, hahanapin niya yan. So, hahanapin niya saan sila umuwi, kailan sila dumadaan. Okay? Tapos, kapag may opportunity, gagawin nila yan. Bakit niya ginagawa yon si Ted Bundy? Kasi, hindi niya naranasan or feeling niya, gusto niyang maranasan yung ganun. So, nung naranasan niya yung ganung feeling ng rape siya or so whatever, kasi doon niya nakita yung hinahanap-hanap na niya yung pleasure so whatever. So, dahil hinahanap niya yung pleasure na yon, ayan, yun ang nagiging cause kung bakit paulit-ulit. Okay, naging siyang sexual rapist. Kaya nga, di ba, dito ba sa section na yun na pinapanood ko ang Ted Bundy? Ito ba yun? Or, kasi meron akong subject na CRIM211 or CRIM211, tapos pinapanood ko din sila ng mga crime series. Dito rin ba yun? Sa inyo rin ba yun?
Hindi po, ma'am. Ako po nakita ko lang po yun sa Facebook po.
Okay.
Yung kay...
After this one, you might consider watching, lagay ko na lang yung link sa YouTube. Yung sa YouTube. Hindi ko alam na hindi pa pala dito sa subject na to. Ang iano ko sa inyo, di ba, yung Flower of Evil, no? So, pwede rin po ang Ted Bundy tapes. Okay? Yung sa Ted Bundy tapes na yon, he will explain bakit bakit niya ginawa yon. At least 30 women ang naging victim niya. Okay? So, that is Ted Bundy tapes. Panoorin nyo. Next week kasing topic yun about kung paano mape-prevent yung kay Ted Bundy. But sige, ilalagay na natin dito para advance kayo. Panoorin nyo na lang, okay? Next one, okay? What is a rape culture? What are examples of rape conducive culture? So, rape culture, how society might sow the seeds of legitimation of sexual violence. Diba? In the other places alam niyo yung sa walang rape sa Bonto. Yung documentary na walang rape sa Bonto. Literally, sinabi nilang walang rape sa Bonto kasi ang sexual abuse sa mga babae is a natural thing. Okay? Kaya nila sasabing walang rape kasi hindi nila kino-consider or kina-count yung crime na rape. Therefore, for example, ginalaw siya ng kapwa nila member nung clan na yon or parang nung tribo na yon. Okay lang. Bakit? Kasi walang rape sa kanila. Ibig sabihin, normal lang yon. Ibig sabihin, there is a rape culture. Pag sinabing rape culture, it is normal to conduct a rape. Ayan. Hindi sila, wala silang crime na rape. Ganon. So, rape culture, how society might sow the seeds of legitimation. Tignan nyo, legitimation, nagiging legal po ang rape. Or, nagiging legal po ang sexual violence. Objectifying representations of women, particularly in pornography, myths about women and men's sexuality. So, social construction of women, notions of good girls and bad girls. So, representation, objectification, and sexual violence are often about the power. Okay? Traditional sexual scripts and sex roles. And then we also have girls and boys learn particular gender roles. So, male eroticism is wedded to power, control, and dominance in sexuality. So, relationship between traditional sex, scripts, and sexual violence, adherence to the traditional gender roles that makes sexual assault impossible along with lack of conscience, ayan, irresponsibility, and situational characteristics like heavy alcohol consumption and peer pressure. Ayan. Pag sinabi natin ang existence of rape culture, it means legitimation of sexual abuse. It means okay lang or normal lang. Okay po. That is a rape culture. Yung parang okay lang gawin nila yan. Kasi katanggap naman ng lahat. If you would watch nga yung walang rape sa Bonto, hindi nga ibig sabihin, kaya nga sinasabing walang rape sa Bonto, kasi nga po hindi nila kino-consider as a rape yung ganong bagay. For example, si Sandro Asico, mahilig-hilig siya. Yan. Diba? Pinsan niya itong si Nicole Duterte. Okay? Tapos, ginawa niya, ni Asico, is ginagalaw niya si Duterte. Magpinsan sila, diba? Hindi man siya mag-asawa. Pero okay lang yon. Bakit? Hindi man nagagalit yung tribe nila, or hindi nila sinasampahan ng kaso or so whatever, ginawa yun ni Asico. Bakit po? Okay? Kasi, it is part of their culture. Normal lang yun. Okay po? So, sa mga liberty na, yung mga masyadong wild countries, US, ganyan, diba? Diba? Las Vegas, New York, ganyan, diba? California, or so whatever, yung mga, sa mga masyadong, it's a free country. Yan. Kahit friends lang sila, friends with benefits, ganyan, okay lang. Dito sa Philippines, hindi yan hindi yan magkakaroon ng hindi yan mag-normalize. Kasi dito, masyadong maselan eh. Sa mga masyadong liberty, or yung mga, tawag dito, sa ibang bansa, kasi, yung masyado silang free. Ayan. Pero, pwede na, okay lang sa kanila ang rape culture, or parang, okay lang to be sexually ganito, explicit, or everything sa whatever. Expose sila sa ganun. Di ba nga, gagawin nila yun, friends with benefits, or so whatever. Yan. Ganun sila. So, dito naman sa Philippines, hindi yan mangyayari. Alam niyo naman na ma-issue dito, kung kanwari nga, yung babae, nagsuot lang ng short, sabi nila, dito kasi sa Philippines, parang sila victim blaming. Diba? Ma-rape ka dahil sa suot mo. Ganyan. Ma-rape ka kasi, ganyan, ba't ganyan kasi yung pananapit mo? Ganyan. Sinisisi nila yung babae or so whatever. Ganon. Kasi sa Philippines, we are Christian family, diba? Kristiyano sila. So, therefore, hindi yan magiging, yung free country na ganon. Mag-post ka nga lang ng nakasando ka or so whatever, diba? Nakasando lang at short, pero ano na sasabihin nilang iba. Pero sa ibang bansa, nakapost pa yan ng pang-bikini or so whatever, wala naman silang pakialam. Diba? Dito, hindi. You cannot do that. Sumakay ka nga lang ng jeep ng yung naka-short ka. Pagtitinginan ka na nila eh. Kasi parang part naman ng culture natin yung pagiging conservative. Tama po ba? Diba? Part, sa amin na lang. Hindi ako pwedeng lumabas talaga ng, alam nyo ba, hindi ko man naranasan lumabas ng naka-short hanggang college. Hindi ako nakaka-short noon. Nakakapag-suit pa lang ako ng short ngayon. Ngayong na ako, nagtatrabaho na ako. At super dalang lang. Paano super dalang? Paano yung mga short ko bilang lang sa kamay ko or sa delivery ko? Siguro mga 5 pairs lang, 5 lang ang mga short ko dito. Yung madalas yung iba pang araw-araw pa. So, kasi, we have this culture na conservative. Ayan. Kaya yung mga barkada or classmate ko, ganyan, or kasi yung mga co-workers ko, akala nila, for example, like swimming, ganyan. O, ba't ang puti-puti mo? Ikaw ba namang di mag-shirt lagi? Sinong di puputi ang ganito, ganyan? Diba? So, ganun. Kasi meron tayong time na conservative. Ganyan. So, hindi nila alam. Akala daw nila, nagpapaputi or so what. Hindi. Ikaw ba naman makulog lagi ang legs mo, diba? Hindi na-expose. Sino hindi puputi? Ganun sila. Kasi kami recently, yan, kami nila mamik, akala nila. Ba't ganun? Hindi kasi kami expose sa mga ganun. Lalo na, Christian family din kami. Conservative sila. And, some of you ganun din, diba? Yung mga parents nyo. Di ako makakabili ng suka ng maikli ang shirt ko. Kailangan, lagi akong naka-jogging pants. You want proof today? Ayan, naka-jogging pants din ako today. Kahit nasa bahay lang. Ayan. So, madalang kaming lalabas ng naka-short. Ayan. Madalang. Ngayon ko lang naranasan to, yung liberty na makapag-short. After college. Kasi sabi nila, kaya ko na yung sarili ko. Ayan, I can protect myself. Next. Okay. How does the social context play a role as social development? So, something important such as gender roles plays a very important role in outlining to a child what behaviors and roles are appropriate for their biological gender. So, these roles are learned from parents and society, what is expected to them, okay? It also gives them a sense of how two sexes interaction and communicate with the another. So, gender role or gender sensitivity tayo dito. Example, boys not to kick a girl. Boys knows not to kick a girl. As children grow up, they learn how to interact with members of the opposite sex in socially desirable ways. So, dito, we're talking about the gender role or parang gender development. Diba? As we go along, alam natin na babae ka, alam mo na lalaki ka. Or sometimes, kapag talaka mo, alam mo na babae ka, pero pusong babae ka. Ay, alam mo na lalaki ka, pero pusong babae ka. Alam mo na babae ka, pero pusong lalaki ka. Diba? Ganun sila. So, sabi nga nila, this is very important. Okay? And the sexual development. Yung aalamin mo yung general identity mo or your gender role. Ano ka ba as a man, ano ka ba as a woman. So, by what age ba? Diba? By what age are gender identities established? 4 years old. 4 years old, alam mo na meron kang putoy-toy, diba? Meron kang pepe, ganyan. Alam nila yan, bata ka pa. So, by what age? Siyempre, nung bata ka, hindi mo maintindihan yan. Diba? Kasi alam mo lang na may ganito ka, alam mo na may ganito ka. Ganyan. So, by what age do kids understand that sexuality is part of their lives? At the age of 12 and 13. Ayan. Kaya nga dapat, proper education ang binibigay sa mga bata. Which is yung topic naman natin yon next week. Okay? In-explain ko lang to today na kailangan merong sexual education. Di ba, sexual education is part of your elementary. If I'm not mistaken, grade 5 and grade 6. Ayan. Kasi kailangan i-explain yan kasi hindi nga biro-biro. Kaya yan ang nagiging cause kung bakit madami yung teenage pregnancy. Diba? Kasi hindi nila alam or hindi sila well-informed of the cause of what they are doing. Kasi alam lang nila, pleasure. Okay? So, puberty and later. So, the interactions of nature and nurture are especially conspicuous during puberty. So, because of pubertal hormonal changes, both the sexual organs and secondary sex traits undergo the adolescent changes that make both and girls start to look more sexually mature. Ayan. Leading society to increasingly treat them like adults. Ayan. Siyempre, di ba, di nyo ba napansin, nung bata kayo, di ba, kahit sino magugas ng puwit sa inyo, okay lang. Sino magpaligo sa inyo, okay lang. Pero pag dumating na yung age na adolescence, ayan, starting to magkakaroon kayo ng press, magkakaroon kayo ng mustache, or so whatever, ayan, di ba, they will become sensitive na. Hindi ka na pwedeng kung sino-sino magpapaligo sa inyo, kahit kuya mo pa yan or so whatever. Bakit? Kasi nagdadalaga ka na. Sabi nga nila, boys and girls to look more sexually mature and leading society to increasingly treat them like adults. So the hormonal changes also cause the sex organs to produce increasingly pleasurable feelings when touched. Ayan. Speeding the pace of a parent learning from sexual experiences. Yung mga lalaki, once na natuli sila or so whatever. Diba? Ang nangyayari dyan, nung bata sila, kahit hawakan nila, hindi yan tatayo. Nung bata sila. Pero once na natuli na yan, okay, kapag hawakan lang yan ng kusino, medyo magre-react na yan, magre-response na sila. Sa babae, late. Sa babae, late nilang mararanasan yan. I will explain it here. Okay? 4 basic sex difference, okay, between male and female. So, during puberty, both boys and girls begin to have increasing numbers of experiences with spontaneous sexual responses and nocturnal orgasms, triggered by unconscious mechanism deep in the brain. But there are several major sex differences in these hormonally induced changes. So, nung magsimula nung nag-mens na yung mga babae, tapos nagpatuloy na yung mga lalaki, syempre, di ba, magkakaroon na yun ng hormonal change in their sexual hormonal change. So, sabi nga niya, first, pubertal boys begin to have spontaneous sexual arousal 2 to 3 years before girls do, giving boys a significant head start over girls in learning about sex. So, di ba, anong age kayo nagpapatuli, yung mga boys? Be honest. Hello?
12.
12? Meron pa bang mas babata sa
8 years old. 8 years old.
8 years old?
10.
Ma'am. 3.
10. 7.
Ay, naku, alam na lang libog si Sandro, no? Tegang na tegang. Okay? Ano pa?
3rd year, ma'am.
3rd year. Ano pa? Kala ko 3 years old 3, sabi mo kasi. Okay? Wala nang siguro supot sa inyo, ano? Wala naman. Okay? Diba? Pubertal boys begin to have spontaneous sexual arousal 2 to 3 years. So, mas advanced kasi yung sexual arousal ng mga boys kesa sa girls. So, therefore, if alam nila yung arousal na yan, kapag naranasan mo yung arousal na yan, therefore, you will be curious, diba? Bakit mo na-feel yung ganito? For example, may pinanood ka na ganito sa movie, may part siya na SPG. Pag naramdaman mong uminit ka, nagkaroon ka ng sexual arousal, or parang naramdaman mong tumigas yung junior mo, okay, kahit papano ng konti. Therefore, nararanasan mo yan unconsciously. Ibig sabihin, hindi mo naman ginusto, 'di ba? Hindi mo siya plinano or so whatever, pero ba't mo naranasan 'yon? Yan. pag nung unang-una na curious ka pa, ba't ka umiinit or so whatever, ba't nangyari yan? Part po yun, okay? Don't worry, it is a natural thing. Okay? Sa babae, late nilang marirecognize yan. Late po nilang marirecognize yan. Sa lalaki, kaya nila nakikita yung bakit mas maaga yung development ng lalaki. It is because, ganito na lang ha, yung genital ng lalaki, okay, don't be, yak-yak kayo dyan na, wag gano'n na, kasi sex education to. Yung mga lalaki kasi, di ba external yung nyo? I mean, nakikita talaga yung mismong genital nyo. Hello? Di ba? Ganon. Sa babae, nakatago siya. So, hindi nila na-explore yan, kasi takot siya mga babae. Kasi, is feeling nila, okay, kasi ako babae din, kapag ginalaw-galaw mo yon, malulus ang virginity more, so what? Yung mga lalaki, wala kasing lalaki, they has nothing to lose. So, okay lang nagalaw-galawin nila yan. Diba? So, explore nila yan. Kaya mas maagang nagkakaroon ng parang, yung mga lalaki, sexual learning kasi dahil doon. So, second, sabi niya, pubertal sexual arousal is more noticeable and distracting for boys than for girls. So, yung mga lalaki, konting lang, nadidistract na sila. Kasi nga, mas advanced itong mga lalaki when it comes to sexual urge. So, a boy who has a spontaneous penile erection is far more likely to notice this conspicuous change than a girl to notice when she has spontaneous clitoral enlargement and lubrication in the vagina. So, the girl's response is subtler and more difficult to notice, whereas the boy's response is bigger, is that as his penis elongates from 3 to 4 inches. Then, to approximately 6 inches. Ibig sabihin nga, externally, nakita nyo na lumalaki yan or so whatever. So, because the boy's penis is well endowed with nerves that connects to reward centers of his brain, the boy is likely to associate sexual arousal with pleasure. So, even though girls' genitals also connect to the pleasure centers of her brain, the subtlety of female sexual responses makes them less noticeable and less likely to create the powerful positive sexual conditioning that boy experiences. Kasi nga, it is due to the, sexual orientation natin na kapag lalaki, yung genital na, nasa labas. So, therefore, makita nila yung changes dyan. Not unlike kay babae. Okay? Nagkakaroon din ng changes yan, pero hindi niya alam. Bakit? Kasi hindi naman niya tinitingnan. Kasi nga, nasa loob. Kaya po, nasa loob. So, huwag yung be open-minded ha. I'll just explain you bakit yung mga lalaki, bata pa lang sila, alam na yung mga gantong ugali or gantong ways. Kasi, nasa kanila. It is on their nature. Okay? Next. Third, sabi niya, boys are significantly more likely to experience spontaneous nocturnal orgasms. Pag sinabi natin nocturnal orgasms, ay yung mga paggabi. Yan. Among young people who experience nocturnal orgasms, boys reports them appropriately 4 times more frequently than do girls. These orgasms are often associated with sexual dreams. Ayan. This transcends the Pavlovian conditioning that links erotic images with sexual feelings, especially for boys. So, boys, fourth, sabi nga niya, last one, boys experience nocturnal orgasms at a younger age than the girls. So, giving boys another major head start in sexual learning. So, yung mga lalaki, nararanasan nila yan. And, ang alam ko ha, hello, kahit hindi ako lalaki, please open your mga cameras. Diba, tama po ba, boys, na kailangan yung mag-release talaga ng semilya nyo kung di magkakasakit kayo?
Yes, ma'am.
Diba, kailangan nyo talagang mag-release ng semilya nyo kasi kung hindi, prostate ang kalalabasan yan. Prostate cancer.
Lalo na po ngayon tagulan, ma'am.
Ibig sabihin, ma'am, totoo yun, ma'am, yung
pero hindi siya dapat, but it will... Ay, wait lang. Kasi ang pag-release niyang ganyan, yan, ang pag-release ng ganyan, it should be in a normal way. Kapag yan nangyari, naging habit, yan, naging drug addiction, or parang drug addiction ang pagkakaroon niya ng pag-release niya ng ganyan, nagiging, na kayo, baka na-develop na yung, tawag dito, pagiging abnormality nun. Yan, prostate cancer, yes. Alam ko, kaya nga, yung mga boys, yung nagkakaroon sila ng autosexual or yung masturbation, it is because, for normal yon, kailangan nilang i-release yun. Okay? Baka may sakit na ako. Hindi malayo at Sandro Wasico. Baka Kung ginagawa nila yan once a week, twice a week ng mga classmate mo, baka ikaw everyday. Okay?
Ma'am, paano pag babae?
Toldo ng Sandro Theory yun.
Ma'am, pag babae, ma'am, hindi nagkakasakit. Pag ganun.
Ano? Ang
Sa babae, ma'am.
ang babae kasi, hindi niya kailangan mag-autosexual. Bakit? Nagre-release yan. Nagre-release yan automatically. Diba, girls? Nagre-release yan automatically sa mga girls.
Ma'am,
Oh,
doon
yes.
po ba pumapasok yung menstruation?
Hindi. Hindi siya sa menstruation lumalabas. Okay? Lumalabas yan bago mag-mens or after mag-mens.
Yung white blood
White
po,
mens.
ma'am.
Ayan, yung white blood or parang sinasabi nila yung nicotine na nakita nila sa panty
okay.
liner or sa whatever. Ayan. Kasi ang babae, natural, hindi niya kailangan gumawa ng ganyan katulad ng boys. Mag-release at mag-release, magkakaroon ng sexual discharge ang babae. Kahit hindi niya gusto, kahit walang arousal or so whatever, maglalabas yan. Okay? Pero sa mga lalaki, kailangan nilang gawin yan. Okay po? So, buti ang mga babae, di ba? Medyo safe sila kasi nga, meron silang automatic kahit hindi nila gawin yan. Okay po? So, all of four these biological differences lead pubertal boys to become more curious about and interested in sex sooner than do some age girls, diba? So, although there is much variability and among both boys and girls in the frequency and time of onset of all of four of these experiences. Ayan. So, superimposed in these pubertal changes are all in different levels of inhibitions or positive associations that each individual has learned about sex from his or her parents, family, and culture, with a double standard tending to create more sexual inhibitions for girls than for boys. So, the interaction of nature and nurture tends to produce the male-female differences in sexual interest. Siyempre, di ba, ikaw, as a mother or as a parent, kung meron kang anak na lalaki at babae, kung magkakaroon ng sexual education, sino mas pa-priority mo? Di ba, yung babae? Kasi yung babae, she has something to lose. Her virginity, tapos, pwede rin siya mabuntis. Pero ang lalaki, wala eh. Diba? Pwede lang maging siyang batang ama or so whatever. Kaya yung mga lalaki, kaya nilang mag-explore or so whatever. Pero sa mga babae, meron silang iniingatang integrity, sabi nga nila. Or yung soul. Yan, ito yon. So, that is the explanation why boys are exposed to sexual deviancies. And bakit mas nagiging advanced sila when it comes to sexual orgasms or so whatever. Okay po? Okay, sa mga lalaki, okay lang mag-autosexual kasi kailangan yung labasan or so whatever. Pero, hindi po yan normal if ginagawa nyo everyday. Okay? Hindi po normal yan, okay? Ang normal...
Sandro.
Okay, ang normal yata sa inyo is, hindi ko alam kung once in a week or twice in a week or so whatever. Or after 2 weeks, ganun. Diba? Kaya basta kailangan mag-release kayo, but not every day. Okay? Next. Yan. What are the 4 approaches that describe how sex offenders mature, develop differently from the rest of the population? It's bedding psychiatric, social learning model, constitutional, and sometimes social biological school of thought. So, individual level explanation for sexual deviance. This approach focuses on the individual. Mainly says that they are much responsible of what they are doing. So, there is something inherently wrong with this person's brain, leads him to commit the crime. Okay? Both psychological and psychiatric models says that the cause of most sex crimes is inherent within the individual. So, yung kay Tekla, sigurado ako, there is a psychological or psychiatric reaction kung bakit niya nagawa yan. Okay po? So, do you have any questions?